My name is Dale Baich, D-A-L-E-B-A-I-C-H. I'm with the Office of the Federal Public Defender. I am one of the lawyers who represents Julius in his quest for a commutation. My office was assigned to represent Julius in 2016, and since the very beginning, I knew this was not your average death penalty case. The sheer amount of information that is out there that directly contradicts the state's narrative shocked us. There was a secret plea deal for Julius's co-defendant, Chris Jordan, that was never disclosed to the jury. There were conflicting statements and outright lies that Jordan told the police that the jury never heard. There was proof that Christopher Jordan fit the eyewitness description of the shooter and Julius did not, a fact that was never presented to the jury. And of course, there was a testimony of other men who knew Jordan and had heard him confess to the crime and hiding the murder weapon at Julius's house. When we started the case, there were 2 such men who had heard Jordan confess. Now there are 3. Each one of these circumstances is enough for a jury to find reasonable doubt when it comes to Julius's guilt. Taken together, they paint a picture of an innocent man who was railroaded by the state and who received a defense that was wholly inadequate. Sadly, Julius's story is not unique. Oklahoma County has a history of overturned convictions and exonerations, particularly during the era of former DA Bob Macy. His office prosecuted Julius's case. 1/3 of Mr. Macy's death penalty convictions were overturned due to prosecutorial misconduct. 3 people sent to death row by Macy have already been exonerated. Will Julius be the 4th? Today, the Pardon Parole Board took a small step towards correcting this injustice. 3 of the 4 members voted to grant Julius a Phase 2 commutation hearing. This is a chance for Julius to appear before a fair and impartial venue so he can fully tell his story and make his case. I am confident by simply presenting the facts, the board will have no choice but to conclude, as I have and millions of people in Oklahoma and across the country have concluded, that Julius is innocent and should be released. I'd like to introduce Antoinette Jones, Julius's sister.
First, I want to thank Pastor Scobie for letting us use his church. Thank you, Dale, for explaining everything. And thank you for being such a champion for our family. Over 20 years ago, while I was getting my hair done at the house, and knowing that my brother was at home, knowing that late afternoon and that evening we were playing board games and my parents were making spaghetti and cornbread, knowing that later Julius and Dad and I were watching Dragon Ball Z, those are things that I won't forget about that day. While Mr. Paul Scott Howell was murdered at home, we were at home. Julius was at home with us. He was not in Edmond. He was nowhere near the scene of the crime. When the police raided our home, it began a long, hellish nightmare for our family. And we're still living in that nightmare right now. And after 20 years, all we are still asking is for a chance to let the truth come out. And I'm grateful for the Pardon Parole Board for taking the action that they did today and giving Julius the opportunity to tell his story. I also want to take this time to thank the millions of people who signed the petition to free Julius Jones, who wrote the Pardon Parole Board in the governor's office, who offered up prayers, and who have personally encouraged me during these really challenging times. They mean everything to me and my family, and we're so grateful for the love and support. And thank you all for tuning in. God bless.